So the Amazing robots are extremely tough, damn near unstoppable. But just because you can absorb somebody's power doesn't mean you know how to use it or what to do with it. My name is Dorian, this is SCM Comics. We are continuing our coverage of Absolute Power with Task Force 7, number 3. So our story starts off in Coast City where the Amazing robot Jadestone has officially caught up to our heroes. You see, Alan Scott was able to use his power and teleport them out of there, but Jadestone absorbed Jesse Quick's power and pretty much caught up pretty fast. He has Alan Scott by the neck. Wildcat tried to do something with his old ass and he pretty much catches the back fist. He starts to absorb Alan Scott's power and then all of a sudden he shuts off. So he drops Alan Scott and he's just frozen there. Doug the robot, which is I believe Stargirl's uncle or stepfather, I believe, and Wildcat are like touching him. Alan Scott's like, look, let's not look a gift horse in the mouth. He ain't moving. Let's not wait till he starts moving. Let's get the hell out of there. And then they decide to go to the only safe place where they feel they can go, which is the Tower of Fate, or at least they're headed in that direction. So they leave, and all of a sudden, I guess there's like a time delay because then he starts to officially absorb the power of Alan Scott, and now he's back online, and I guess now he's officially Jadestone. So his original programming and Alan Scott's power are clashing with each other. And he's like, he has a choice. His original programming says, I need you to do this. And then Alan Scott's power is like, well, or you could do this. And the original program was like, hold on, time out. You're not supposed to have choices or options. You need to report this. And he decides to go with his original programming. And he decides to go to Amanda Water to report. So I guess Carol Ferris was in the car. She wakes up and she doesn't know anything of what's going on since pretty much Absolute Power started. And so as they're driving, they're kind of filling her in on everything of what's going on. And she even says to herself, she's like, I guess this is what being a hero is, because they don't have their powers yet and still they're still trying to save the day. So he reports to the Hall of Order, and as he walks in, Amanda Waller is all over him. And as she is screaming at him, his original program was like, okay, listen to her. And then Alan Scott's power was like, but you don't have to. So Amanda was like, look, I need the JSA. You need to apprehend them, but especially you need to bring in Alan Scott. And Alan Scott's power is like, look, the threat's right in front of you. It's Amanda Waller. And he has an option to just take her out. But he decides to go with the other option, which is original programming, and he decides to go after Alan Scott. So he goes to the Oblivion Bar. Now, this is a magical bar that is neutral. In other words, you can be a good guy, you can be a bad guy. Everybody's welcome in the Oblivion Bar. As long as you're like magical or like supernatural, pretty much you can go to the Oblivion Bar. And Felix Faust is definitely a bad guy. He's talking mad. He's like, yep, I'm going to take over the world after all the superheroes are pretty much taken out. And the bartender's like, great. Faust is drunk again. And all of a sudden there's a big huge green explosion and Jadestone makes his appearance. So he's like, where's the Tower of Fate? And they're like, we're not telling you. So Alan Scott's power is giving him the choice to leave, and his original programming's giving him the choice to fight. He decides to fight and he takes on everybody. So then we cut to Gomorrah Island, where pretty much Amanda Waller's Supermax security prison where she's keeping everybody is. And we see Steve Trevor. Now, last time we saw him, he was getting pimp smacked by Sarge Steele. But now we see that the soldiers that were taking him to prison are now knocked out. And this is what he kind of wanted to do anyway. He needed to recon the mission to see exactly where all the superheroes are being held. So he puts on their outfits and he goes walking around. And it doesn't take him long to find out exactly where they're all being held. So one of the soldiers is transporting Engelman to, I guess, another place in the prison. When Engelman goes out of nowhere and kicks the bejesus out of the soldier right in his face. Now, Steve Trevor doesn't like Engelman at all, so he comes, butt stroke him into his stomach, and then knees the bejesus out of him right in his face, and pretty much knocks him out. So he helps up the other soldier, and he pretty much tells him that, hey, I'll help you transport this prisoner. And now this is Steve Trevor's way to pretty much recon the majority of the prison. So then we cut back to our heroes, and they made it to the Tower of Fate. They go to the door. Stitch meets them at the door, and she's like, oh, I'm so glad you're here. Some magical monsters got encaged. I got most of them, but I might need your help with the rest of them. But then out of nowhere, Jadestone appears, so he pretty much made somebody talk. So then they get ready to fight, but Jadestone's not attacking them, and they're like, what the hell's wrong with them? And they're like, I don't know. And all of a sudden, Jadestone goes to Alan Scott and is like, Alan Scott, Green Lantern, why do you save people? So the other wasn't like, what the hell's going on? And Stitch is like, well, it's Alan Scott's power. When he absorbed the Green Lantern power, he also absorbed the Star Heart, and his magic is giving him free will. So Alan Scott answers the question because it's the right thing to do. So Jadestone's like, is that your programming? And Alan Scott's like, yeah, something like that. So then he's like, my programming tells me I'm supposed to take you into Amanda Waller, but I don't know if that's the right thing to do. And Alan Scott goes, yeah, it's called free will. This programming that you're hearing that's giving you another choice is free will. So the robot goes, yes. So he's like, all right, well, let us go. And he yells, no. So then Alan Scott's, okay, well, how about this? Why don't you just take me in and you let the others go? And Jadestone was like, you know what? That's acceptable. So, of course, the other ones don't want Alan Scott to go. And he's like, look, you guys need to figure out something. Just let me go and let me see if I can talk to this dude on the way there. So that's pretty much what happens. The others go into the Tower of Fate, and Alan Scott is taken prisoner by Jadestone.